what's up? It's Emily. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you are here today. I put out new videos every Tuesday and Friday. I do a lot of book content here, which is probably why you're here today. Sometimes I do some more like lifestyle, beauty, travel stuff as well. I'm really into the book content recently, and I got back into reading like regularly, seriously last January, so like a year and a half now. Before then, I really only read biographies of women that I wanted to be. I kind of like obsess over one woman and I like read all about her, and then I'm like, what can I take from this woman and incorporate into my life to be the best version of myself? I just love reading biographies about women that inspire me. So I just wanted to share some of those with you today. I don't know, maybe it will inspire you to read these 10 biographies that I have picked out today, or maybe it will inspire you to think about the people that inspire you and see if they have like a memoir or a biography out. I'm an actor, so I find character studies super interesting. I find reading about people's lives, whether it's written through somebody else's research point of view, birth to death like biography, or a memoir that focuses on like one specific theme that actual person has written. I just really love. I love people, I love biographies, and I love inspiring women. These are 10 biographies that I've read and would recommend to you. I'll start with this queen. Cher. This is a book written by the queen. Is she called the goddess of pop? I think she might be the goddess of pop and Madonna's the queen of pop, but Cher is just kind of like also the queen. I'm obsessed with Cher. I've seen her 3 times in concert. She's just everything to me, and this is a book that she wrote herself, basically documenting all of her firsts. So like my first time on a mood swing, my first allergic reaction to Republicans, my first time in the big house with Sonny Bono. My first Mackie gowns. It's just like all of her first. Some are obviously like funny, and some are like a little more serious. Some are like more obviously like big moments for her. But she's just so funny the way that she writes. I think she has such a great sense of humor, and she's like Cher. And this is, I think, the only book that she's written. Yeah, it's a very quick read. Like, I don't know, pages are pretty quick. There's a lot of pictures and stuff, so if you have any interest in Cher or just like want a good laugh and want to breeze through a biography, this is such a good book. I just love this cover. I love someone that's not afraid to shy away from the cheetah print. Next let's do K-Cho, Kristen Chenowith. This is a little bit wicked. I think she's written, I don't know if it's another biography, but she's definitely written another book since this one. This was published a while ago. This was well, the Cher one was published in like 1998 or something like that. This was published in 2009, and it just kind of documents like her life up through post Wicked. She was the original Glinda on Broadway in 2003. She won a Tony before that for Your Good Man Charlie Brown as Sally Brown. She's been on like Pushing Daisies and like these other TV shows, so she kind of documents like what her childhood was like through that point. She was adopted. She talks about that. I've just always loved Kristen Chenowith. She just seems like a light. She seems like a very positive person. She's so talented. She teaches at like colleges. She just seems like just a beautiful soul and a beautiful person. Also, the Wicked movie's coming out if you want to learn about the OG Galinda. This is a fun book to read. Again, pretty quick biography. I would say this one's is more for fans of musical theater, show business, etc. She really kind of gives you like her inside scoop to like her journey and how she got where she got, the teachers that helped her along the way, and some other like personal stuff. So yes, we love. So Kristen Chenowith had a dog who I met when I saw her in Promises, who has since passed because it was a long time ago. Her dog's name was Madeline Kahn Chenowith. I also am a huge fan of Madeline Kahn. Madeline Kahn is my favorite comedian. She died pretty young. She died when she was 57. She had ovarian cancer. We really missed out on a lot of opportunities and a lot of characters. I think she would have like absolutely slayed later on in her life. You might know her from Clue. She was Mrs. White, the Black Widow in Clue, the movie. She was in a lot of Mel Brooks comedies, and a lot of people don't really realize she was also an amazing dramatic actress. She was on Broadway. She's just so funny. She's one of those people that like, she's very still, but you get the sense that like everything's moving inside of her. Like there's like a flutter to her energy, even though she's like completely still, and I just really, really, really love her. I've seen every performance that she's done, but I haven't sat through the whole movie, like History of the World Part 2. I just watched her parts in it. It kind of journeys through her time in show business, like how she kind of got started and where she ended up. She was like singing opera with Leonard Bernstein before she was even famous, when she was like 19. So she's just so talented. I'm so sad that we lost her so early, but this book really just kind of, if you're not familiar with Madeline Kahn, like if you don't read this book, at the very least I would suggest you check out some of her movies and some of her work. I really love her. R.I.P. Next we'll do, this is a book that I read this year, In Pieces, Sally Field. Also another showbiz. I'm doing, by the way, like all of the showbiz biographies first, so like if you're not super into show business, just stay on the ride with me and I've got some other stuff for you. First of all, like, how stunning is this woman? I really love Sally Fields because I always kind of felt connected to her as an actor. She kind of looks like an ingenue. I feel like I give off like ingenue vibes, but she's such a character inside. Like she's such a quirky, I hate the word quirky, sometimes I just don't know what other word to use, like kind of like odd person. Even when she plays characters that aren't as character-y, like she just adds this very uniquely her flavor to the characters. I admire her career a lot because I could see myself kind of like going down that path a little bit. I also saw her live in the Glass Menagerie on Broadway. She was so amazing. I love her. I'm a huge fan of her work already, and her story is like crazy. She is such a survivor. The way that she is able to write about her life is so beautiful, and I'm sure very healing for her. Obviously, for fans of like show business, she talks about her relationship with Burt Reynolds, who's a literal piece of shit. There's a lot of family dynamics that are explored in this, so if that's something that's also interesting to you, I would say you get as much that as you get showbiz stories, if that makes sense. I really love her, and it's a pretty quick read. Just a beautiful, beautiful memoir. She wrote this herself. Obviously, she probably had people help her, but like this is by her. My last showbiz books, well, kind of. The queen of my heart, and the queen of many hearts, I would say, is Judy. This book is like the Judy Garland Bible. This talks about every single thing that happened in her life, all of her relationships, all of her movies, all of her trials, all of her successes. We just get the whole thing. I cried in this book. This is by Gerald Frank, who is obviously not Judy Garland, and it was written in 1975. I would say I would recommend this book if you're a Judy Garland fan, pretty much only if you're a Judy Garland fan, or if you're really into like the golden age of Hollywood. This has a lot of stories about her experiences on those sets with those players and stuff, but this is just, this is like one of my favorite books of all time. I come back to it time and time again. Highlighted like the weirdest stuff in this book. She was telling Liza like basically like how to sing, and like I highlighted like, just because you're holding a note, don't think that the emotion of the word is over. You keep the thought going as if the sound is in slow motion and you're trying to get it over that chair, and it'll only get there if you hang on to it and keep going. Judy is kind of this like mythical creature to me, honestly, and so this book is just amazing, and I'm not gonna keep going on about it, but I love it. Going off of that, we have My Life with Judy Garland, Me and My Shadows by Lorna Luft. This was made into a movie starring Judy Davis, Tammy Blanchard as Judy Garland. So this was written by Judy Garland's daughter. Obviously, Liza Minnelli is her daughter. She has another daughter, Lorna Luft, who wrote this book, and a son, Joey Luft. This is more from Lorna's perspective of like, my mom is Judy Garland, and like this is what Judy Garland was like as my mom, kind of a thing. This, I would say, this is a quicker read than this. So if you're like interested in Judy Garland's life, but maybe you don't want to read this like huge book with like every single detail, you want to get a little bit more of like a first-hand account of her life, I'd read this one. There's also a few other ones like Get Happy, which I also have, and I have 2 other biographies. If you're interested in what those are, just leave a comment below and I'll tell you about them. But I definitely can't talk about 4 Judy Garland biographies in a biography video about 10 biographies. That would just be ridiculous. 2 upcoming ones I actually don't have the physical copies of. One I borrowed and the other one I gave away. I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This was a huge book this year. Jeanette wrote this book about basically her experiences with her mom, who has since passed, the incredibly abusive relationship she endured, and like how she was treated as a kid on Nickelodeon. As a kid, you watch these shows, you just want that life, and then you realize like most of these kids on these shows are like pretty miserable and like not happy, and it's just all a facade, in the words of Jekyll and Hyde. I think she's also just such a brilliant writer. If she kind of forged her own path a little bit more in life and wasn't forced into show business, I imagine she would be a writer. And I think that's kind of where she's heading. Like, I think she started a book club. She's really into writing. She's really into reading. And I love that for her, and I like wish her the best. I think she's such a brave person. A lot of people also recommend listening to the book on audiobook because she narrates it, so it's kind of like you get that like even more in-depth firsthand telling of the book, if that makes sense. I just read it. It was a really quick read. Really, like some of it was just like, it was shocking. The next book is My Body by Emily, I think Ratajkowski is how you say her last name. It's basically this book of essays that talk about her experience as a young woman who was sexualized and is still sexualized in the modeling industry, show business, etc. And she does not paint herself as a perfect person. It's a very like honest, very vulnerable, again, like shocking story of someone that has just been sexualized since she was like 13 or 14 and growing up like in, I guess, in or around LA. If you're like into reading books about feminism, this is just a really great like case study, and it's also a very quick book. This book was pretty popular last year. It made me really respect her quite a bit and made me think about just things that I am always thinking about, but even more so. These last two biographies, this one is a memoir. It's called Wild Game, My Mother, Her Lover, and Me by Adrienne Broder. This is a memoir about a very specific place and time of this woman's life when she was younger, and her mom was basically like having an affair and telling her about it, and like she kind of had to like, I guess, like lie to her dad about it. I read this a while ago. Maybe I'll just read the back because I think that'll probably give you a better picture of the book. On a hot July night on Cape Cod when Adrienne was 14, her mother, Malabar, woke her at midnight with 5 simple words that would set the course of both of their lives for years to come. Ben Souther just kissed me. Adrienne instantly became her mother's confidant and helpmate, blossoming in the sudden light of her attention, and from then on, Malabar came to rely on her daughter to help orchestrate what would become an epic affair with her husband's closest friend. The affair would have calamitous consequences for everyone involved, impacting Adrienne's life in profound ways, driving her into a precarious marriage of her own and then into a deep depression. Only years later will she find the strength to embrace her life and her mother on her own terms. So this is very interesting, this book. I had never really read anything like it, and it's a pretty quick read. I think it's only like 230 something pages. So if you're looking for like a quick little character study, this is definitely the book for you. I'd love to see this made into a movie with like Rachel Weisz? Oh, also totally like Anne Hathaway, Natalie Portman. This woman has like long, like dark hair, I think. I remember her being described as such. This last book is a book my friend gave to me, Liam, thank you, called Kitchen Table Wisdom. It's about this therapist, basically, who, I think she's like a therapist for people that are ill, like physically sick. It's just like a collection of stories of her own life and some of her patients that she experienced. It's a very healing book that just kind of puts things into a bigger perspective for you. A lot of these stories are like even just like this small, like that's one whole thing. So I know some people that will just keep this by their bedside, have a whole other book they're reading, like a fiction book or whatever, and then they'll just read a chapter of this and just finish it throughout like a month or two. It's borderline like a self-help book, but it is actually like a memoir. Like she's writing about her real personal experiences. Rachel Naomi Raymond, MD. This is the 10th book. Highly recommend Kitchen Table Wisdom. So those are my 10 biographies that I have read. Let me know if you have any questions about them, or if you've read any of them, let me know what you thought. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's it. That's the video. I hope you have an amazing week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!